80 Days, adventurer and award-winning filmmaker Paul G. Roberts retraces the global footsteps of Phileas Fogg, hero of Jules Verne's most famous work.
I'm going to share some of my personal Venice experiences and some stories from my visit to La Serenissima, the fabled city of Venice. The best hotels, some of my favorite restaurants and places to eat, and some of the hidden attractions that may or may not be on the regular tourist maps. With its untouched, incredible architectural heritage, the spectacular Grand Canal, and unmatched romantic vibes, there's no question why people from all around the world hold Venice as one of their dream bucket list destinations. And also why hordes of tourists flock in their masses. Venice is one of the most magical places on planet Earth. There's an incredible Renaissance feeling to the whole place, mostly sparked by the centuries-old unchanged buildings and incredible setting. And probably most importantly, as there are no roads, no cars, no scooters, no mopeds, no Vespas, everything is experienced by either by foot or by boat, by gondola, by Vaporetto, by Watertaxi, or classic Riva. So you feel like you're stepping back in time through some magical Harry Potter-esque portal into a world of art and masterpieces. And the whole city is a masterpiece when you come to Venice. Any tourist could spend forever, weeks and weeks, exploring the city's labyrinth of islands, canals, pedestrian alleyways, and bridges. One of the really remarkable things about Venice that you won't find anywhere else in the world is the Venice Carnival. It's an internationally renowned event that takes place annually in the beautiful city. Known for its elaborate costumes, masks and parties, the carnival draws visitors from all around the world to experience the unique and ancient tradition. And it's in winter, and Venice is, has an unusual climate, and many times because of the Grand Canal and the lagoons and everything, they get these incredible mists rolling in. So you've got the lights and the dark of Venice and the romantic feelings through this mist. And it's like some weird movie set. It is actually extraordinary. Well, the origins of the carnival can be traced back to the 12th century, when the city of Venice was a thriving centre of trade and commerce. Now, at that time, Venice was a republic, and its citizens enjoyed a great deal of freedom and autonomy. The carnival was a time when the strict social hierarchies and class distinctions of a very stuffy Venetian society were temporarily suspended, allowing people of all classes to come together and celebrate. It kind of reminds me about the carnival in Rio. Has a similar kind of egalitarian thing where everybody gets together and has fun. But the Venice one is obviously very different. The masks worn were a crucial part of the celebration. And the masks were a way of people who were able to then escape their everyday lives and social roles and let loose with gay abandon, without judgment. The most popular masks were the bauta and the moretta. The bauta was a full face mask and a long nose, which was often worn with a wide-brimmed hat, which covered the head and shoulders. The moretta, on the other hand, was a black domino mask, often worn by the women. Now, these masks were not only popular with the general population, but also with the wealthy, who would also don elaborate costumes and masks to conceal their identities so they could participate in all the various parties and events. It's probably where Stanley Kubrick got his idea for Eyes Wide Shut. Over the centuries, the carnival evolved and changed. And in the 18th century, the carnival reached the height of its popularity, with elaborate balls, parades, and performances taking place in the city's grand palaces and squares. However, in the 19th century, the carnival began to decline. And in 1797, the Venetian Republic fell and the carnival was banned by the Austrians who controlled Venice. Those Austrians. The carnival was revived in the 1970s, and right to this very day, it attracts visitors from all over the world. The modern carnival features many of the same elements as the historical carnival, including the elaborate costumes, masks, and parties. The legend of Casanova. Son of a widowed actress, and he was born, as I said, in 1725 in the district of San Marco, and was soon left to care for his grandmother. Erotic poet Giorgio Baffo, an ardent admirer of Casanova's mother, was the first to initiate him into the art of seduction. In addition to women, Casanova loved eating and drinking, banquets and cicchetteria, the wine bars where you can eat and drink and sample local specialties. He will be forever remembered as a part of the mythology to its gamut of glamorous offerings. Come around film festival time, the Venice Film Festival, late August, early September, and you'll see a gamut of A-list stars. And you can rub shoulders with directors and producers, but the vibe is moneyed and storied, self-assured all year round, with splashes of international colour, from entertainers to even royalty. And Venice, in the distance, remains a shimmering vision across the water, conceptually very close, but physically quite far. And the only obvious way of exiting is by boat. And for many guests, that's Cipriani's unique value proposition. And then there is the legendary Gritty Palace. Overlooking the Grand Canal in the heart of Venice, the Gritty Palace boasts one of the most enthralling views of the whole Grand Lagoon from the city. From the island of San Giorgio Maggiore, past landmarks Punta del Dogana and Santa Maria della Salute Basilica, to the Peggy Guggenheim Museum collection. This palace dates back to 1475, and it was a noble palace and a luxury five-star hotel in a place of exceptional art and elegance. And it's retained its reassuringly intimate and familiar feel of a private residence, a private palatial residence. And from the design of its signature suites to its iconic terraces, the Gritty Epicurean School, Riva yacht experiences and the Riva Lounge and the Gritty SPA branded by Sicily Paris, the Gritty Palace is where multiple generations of elite global influencers gather to explore, taste and celebrate. And when it comes time to dine in Venice, it's also amazing. Maybe it's all that romance floating around, or maybe it's those deliciously pretty osterias, but food hits a little differently in Venice. The Serene Republic has a long history of innovative and world-leading cuisine that sits snugly with its historical Rome as a cultural hub and meeting point. Flavours, ingredients and cooking styles have long collided here, as have the various cultures to pass or occupy Venice. So it makes sense that a lot of Venice's best restaurants all have such different approaches to food and cooking. There's a huge range of culinary delight on offer here. And here are a few of my tips. Each region of Italy has its own approach to food, but nowhere is it more diverse and exciting than in Venice. And the cuisine here is like the colourful frescoes that adorn the walls, buildings and ceilings throughout the city. It's vivid and surprising, crumbling or faded in parts, but all richly laden with stories and seasoned with the history of cultural influences. The city's history as a wealthy merchant centre and military base gave its people access to spices and exotic ingredients from all corners of the globe, contributing to unusual flavours to the local food that is still present today. And the best way to experience or get a tasting of Venice is by sampling the various cicchetti, those small bites similar to Spanish tapas or French hors d'oeuvre, sold in baccari or wine bars throughout the city. Now, Venice is an experience that you do on foot. You walk pretty much everywhere, unless you're occasionally on a boat. And this means, serendipitously, you're bound to wander past a wine bar and bump into people you know, because it's quite a small town with a strong sense of community. So the culture of cicchetti became a way for people to stay in touch. So when you're there, pretend you're a local and do the cicchetti thing as often as you can. Another iconic place to munch is Harry's Bar, at the Cipriani. It was a favourite of Ernest Hemingway, and the bar to have said to have invented the Bellini, which is Prosecco or sparkling wine with peach nectar. Harry's Bar is one of the most iconic places to eat and drink in all of Venice. This naturally means it's also one of the most expensive, whether it's one of the bar's original Bellinis, the atmosphere, or the authentic Italian cuisine it serves, including many classic dishes such as risotto primavera, cipriano, carpaccio. The restaurant continues to attract celebrities and many more discerning diners to its tables. And then there's the terrazzo, or the Terrazza Daniele, which is on the alfresco deck of the Daniele Hotel, is also excellent, with a menu that showcases recipes dating back to 1909, including a dandolo, risotto and sea urchin, sole and fresh tomatoes. But that's really the point. Come here for one of the best views in Venice, overlooking the Appetito.